George couldn't recall ever seeing the man with the yellow hat looking like this. He was usually calm, cool, and wearing a yellow hat.
Oh, here he comes. Hello?
Good morning. Come on in. Ready as promised.
It was worth living without it for 3 long days. I'd rather carry it myself, George.
You're not gonna wear your hat?
No, I want to keep it perfect till tonight. We're going to the opening of the new planetarium dome. Thanks. Let's get home before anything happens to my perfect clean hat. Well, we made it safely. Okay, now, George, when I get back, we're going right to the planetarium, so take a bath. There'll be photographers there. I want you to look clean and fluffy.
George was going to take a bath, just like he was told. It sure was a perfect hat. Who could resist trying it on? George wanted Compass to see him in the yellow hat. It'd only take a second. George saw the hat fly this way, but it disappeared. The hat was back home and still perfect. Almost. George removed the piece of branch as carefully as any surgeon working on any yellow hat could. Okay, there was just a tiny thread there. No problem. Maybe he needed to pull harder. Or maybe it had to be cut off. George had forgotten that the last time he used his safety scissors was to cut his strawberry jam and banana sandwich. It was only a small smudge. All he had to do was clean it off. This stiff brush got the grill sparkling like new every time, and the grill got dirtier than the hat. He may have scrubbed too hard. When Mrs. Quint asked for help setting up a surprise party for Mr. Quint's birthday, George was almost ready. He practiced yelling, "Surprise!" until he was really good at it. But he wanted to be the best, so he kept practicing.
You ever thrown a surprise party for Mr. Quint before?
Well, it's the only way to give him a party.
Because you're such a big family?
Exactly.
I'm watching for Mr. Quint's boat. No sign of him.
Oh, you don't have to watch yet, Bill. He won't be back for at least 2 hours.
Whoa! It's not my birthday, George. I'm not supposed to get surprised.
He's home early.
No! What do we do?
Oh, take him to your house and keep him there till party time.
Not yet, George.
Well, hey there, young fellas.
Ooh, looks like you sprung a leak. Bad luck today, huh?
Well, not all bad. Got to see part of the river I never saw before. The bottom. Well, I gotta change my soggy socks.
No, don't. I mean, come to our house. We want to build a fish pond and need expert advice about fish.
Well, sure. Well, let me just get some dry clothes.
Here, dry clothes. Go help him.
All right, Mother, if you say so.
Huh? No Quint can resist fish crackers. They may come in handy. Okay, goodbye. Have fun.
So George and the man with the yellow hat kept Mr. Quint busy with lots of questions.
What do you think?
Well, if you make a pond that big, you can have almost any size fish.
As George was about to ask exactly how many whales he could have, Mr. Quint's brother, Flint Quint, showed up.
Hi. George, it's Mr. Quint's brother, the train station master.
Hey, Clint, happy birthday.
Hey, Flint, happy birthday.
Oh, didn't you know the Quints were born together? So Flint can't know about the party either, okay?
The Quints were twins. Now George had 2 people to yell surprise at. It couldn't get any better.
Your wife said you needed help, so I came right over.
Well, this here's fish business, not train, so you can weigh anchor. I'll meet you back at my house.
Don't go. We want to know about running a train around the pond we're planning. I'll be right back. Hello?
Oh, it's Mrs. Quint. Disaster. The bakery truck broke down, so they can't deliver the birthday cake.
Don't worry, I can go pick it up.
Oh, thank you. It's at Mr. Piscato's bakery over in Franklin Square.
You can't run tracks across the pond. It'll scare the fish.
Well, then we'll just have to tunnel.
Guys, could you monkey sit for me while I run an errand?
Sure. We'll just figure out the pond while you're gone.
George, it's your job to keep the Quints here so the surprise isn't wrecked, okay?
George knew this would be easy because the Quint brothers would probably argue about the pond for hours.
Well, we've got it all worked out. The perfect pond and train.
So we'll monkey sit you at my house where we could draw up plans.
George had to keep the Quints here. It was important. The surprise.
Fish crackers.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
There were only 2 things that could get George to take a bath: Bubbles and Sproingy, the most awe-inspiring toy frog that ever lived. and the best bubble maker George ever met. A bath just wouldn't be a bath without them.
I wonder what this belongs to. Oh, George! I found your lost boat. In the freezer. You know, George, if you were a little more careful with your toys, you wouldn't lose so many of them. You almost ready to go to the park? Hey, aren't you glad we found your boat, George? George?
Sharky wanted to play in the mud, too.
Hey, George! What do you say we go home and grab some lunch? Maybe you should try and clean up a little bit before we go. We could be here all day doing this. You can clean up at home, George. Okay, George, lunch is ready. George, you have to get cleaned up before you can eat. Just take a quick bath. I'll wait.
There were only two things that could get George to take a bath. Bubbles and Springy the Frog. George wondered where he could be.
George? George, what is taking so long? You can clean your room later, after you clean yourself, and after we eat lunch. Hop in. Oh, I get it. You want to be launched like a new ship, huh? All right, here we go. Into the sea. You're tickling me. Look, I know you took a bath already this morning, but you're muddy, George. No. Hey, look at all the fun bubbles. See?
There was no way George could take a bath without Springy, who had to be around here somewhere.
George?
And there was no way George was going to admit he lost another toy. Who had to be here somewhere.
George! George!
Here was all this fresh snow just itching to be played with, but it was too deep for George.
Hey, George! Guess a city kid wouldn't have seen cross-country skis before. It's the most fun way to travel on deep snow. I've got an old pair of skis you can have. Want to come with me?
This was fun. George took to skiing like a monkey to skiing.
Think you can handle that big hill?
With skis on, George could go anywhere there was snow. Or so he thought.
You can't attack a steep hill straight on like that, George. You gotta zigzag it. When you stop, angle your skis like this so you don't slide back down. Yeah, that's it. There you go, George. That's the way to do it.
George had a great view up here. He could see houses and farms. And there was his house. And then he thought he'd better head home right now because the man was making the last of the cocoa. And no one can resist the drink me now power of cocoa. Not even the man with the yellow hat.
I wonder what that could be. I'm gonna go take a quick look around. You wait here.
This wasn't good. He was getting even further from home.
Hey, George! Down here! I couldn't find what made that sound. I'm heading home now. Have fun!
At least it was all downhill from here. He figured he'd be home in seconds. There had to be a way to get that ski. Well, one ski was better than none.
That was awesome!
One great thing about living in the country is fresh dairy products.
Morning, Mr. Rankins.
And to George, one great thing about fresh dairy products was the cows.
Leslie sure likes you. Well, happy cows give more milk, so please stay as long as you like.
Does that sound like fun, George? Okay, remember, be a good little monkey.
George really liked cows. No one else he knew was that big, that friendly, and gave milk. That jumpy squirrel must have had food stored everywhere. Wildflowers. George had never seen so many colors anywhere else but in his crayon box. And they smell better than crayons. George wanted to share his discovery. After all, who doesn't like to smell nice flowers? George tried telling her to be a good little cow. Leslie obviously didn't speak monkey. So, George tried to speak cow. More cows were coming. Maybe this whole field had once been filled with beautiful flowers, and they'd already eaten the rest. George had to act fast before these flowers became a big bovine buffet. Unfortunately, cows don't understand arrows. He tried to distract them by juggling apples. But the cows ate his act. So George borrowed an old scarecrow and turned it into a frightening scare cow.
Good morning, George. I'm gonna sleep 5 more minutes, okay? No!
Yes, sorry. This here roller coaster whips and snaps you around hairpin turns at 70 miles per hour. So come on down to Zany Island and ride the Turbo Python 3000. That's Captain's orders.
Oh, well, that looks very exciting, George. Anyway, we have a lot of errands to run today. I gotta... Like I was saying, I'll get dressed so we can spend a fun day at Zany Island riding the Turbo Python 3000. Now, don't eat all that licorice at once, okay, George?
Huh?
Hi, Steve. Betsy?
Hi, George.
Hey, have you guys been on the Turbo Python 3000? We've been on 9 times already. That's the record.
Ah, is it, fun?
He screamed his head off 9 times. We're gonna ride it all day. Wanna come?
Everyone was excited about riding the Turbo Python 3000. Except the man with the yellow hat. He was afraid of roller coasters and remembered the first and last time he rode a roller coaster. It was so long ago, he was just the boy with the yellow hat. And since that day, roller coasters upset him.
Okay, I'm a grown man. I have no reason to fear a roller coaster. Enjoy the ride, George. Whew. I am thirsty.
Excuse me. I'm sorry, but you can't ride the Turbo Python 3000. You have to be as tall as this sign to ride. And, you're not.
Sorry, pal.
That goes for you, too, son.
Do you mind if we ride without you?
Yeah.
Sorry, I measure to the top of a head, not the top of a hat. You're gonna have to really grow before you can ride there, little fella.
George wondered exactly how much he had to grow. But when he measured with his hand, he was the same height as the sign. He must have grown already.
You're not measuring right. I wish I had a ruler or something. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, the sign is 5 licorice whips tall, and you are 1, 2, 3, 4 licorice whips tall. You can come back when you're grown 1 more licorice whip tall. And until then, enjoy the rest of the park.
When spring is in the air, there's nothing a monkey likes more than to spring in the air. To keep his lobby orderly, Hunley always kept a close eye on George.
Come on, George.
I wish I had your energy, George.
Just watching George made Hunley tired.
Hello, Professor Wiseman.
Hi. What do you have, George? Your favorite kind of dinosaur? Oh, that's your favorite. But they're the same. Those are the bones that would be inside that. You know, same as the bones in you. Feel your arm. The hard part? That's bone. It's your skeleton.
Now that he knew he had one of those under his face, George had to see the T-Rex skull up close.
George, don't. It isn't safe. Oh. Are you okay?
George always wanted to ride in an ambulance, but he couldn't really enjoy it. At the hospital, Dr. Baker decided they needed to see George's leg bone by taking an X-ray.
Well, that's a small break. We have to put your leg in a cast. Now, this cast will keep your leg from moving while the bone heals.
Hey, that looks like George.
Hundley knew what to do when he heard that name. He got ready to defend the dignity of his lobby.
Poor little guy. Is he all right?
Oh, yeah, but he's gonna be out of action for weeks.
No jumping. No noise. Hundley wasn't so sure this was George.
Well, hello. You have a visitor, George.
It was George, all right. No one else in the building smelled like that.
Hello? Hundley come up here?
Yeah, we're in George's room.
You know, in the lobby, Hundley pays more attention to George than anyone. That's friendship. Hundley could keep George company when you go to work. I'd excuse him from his lobby duties.
George, would you like Hundley to be your monkey sitter?
George was conducting an important experiment, testing the bounce factor of the living room furniture. This part of the couch made a different sound. That wasn't the couch. It sounded big. It sounded heavy. And it came from up there.
You must have heard our new neighbor walking around. He moved in last week.
What George had heard seemed heavier than footsteps.
What are you doing? George, you must have heard our neighbor walking. That's all it could be. It's not like he's got some wild animal up there.
The man with the yellow hat lived with George, so why couldn't the new neighbor live with an animal? But what kind? Of course, the new neighbor had brought home an elephant. The man with the yellow hat had to hear this.
George? You dreamt about an elephant? Shh. Oh, no more nature books before you go to sleep, George. They're obviously giving you strange dreams. This is better bedtime reading. The Happy Sleepy Monkey. Good night.
This new sound certainly wasn't an elephant walking around. It was an elephant that was doing what?
Oh, boy, I didn't sleep at all last night.
George never realized there were so many sounds in the world. He'd never listened hard enough. That was the balcony to the apartment upstairs, where the new neighbor lived, with his elephant. Summer afternoon. The perfect time for a game of Find the Pigeon.
Okay, George, playtime's over. Time to clean your room. You can play with Compass after you clean your room. Bath time, George. I don't think you'll fit in the bird bath, George. You're definitely a tub monkey. Okay, time to brush your teeth and hit the sack, George.
Even though being a monkey was the greatest thing ever, pigeons didn't have to do what anybody told them.
George, time to clean your room, take a bath, wash your ears, brush your teeth, go to bed, wake up, make yourself breakfast. George!
So the next morning, George made up his mind to live like a pigeon. It turned out that birds had special pecking equipment. Keeping up with pigeons was hard work if you didn't come with wings. Plus, pigeons didn't have to wait for the don't walk light. George had lost his flock. To be a pigeon, you had to fly. Being a cat looked like a lot less work than being a pigeon. Now, this was the life. And no one made Gnocchi clean her room. Plus, cats took a bath wherever they wanted. Whenever they wanted. A cat bath was okay. If you didn't mind a hairy mouth and a spitty face. Maybe being a cat wasn't for George either. Here were lots of animals who didn't have to clean their rooms or brush their teeth. Surely George could find one he could be. Like a chameleon. They could change color effortlessly. Monkeys couldn't. Fish never had to stop playing to take a bath. But George wasn't good enough at holding his breath to be a fish for very long. Friday afternoon, a perfect time for a trip. Bottles and newspapers went to the basement. But some things had to be taken to the recycling center.
Hey, looks like you could use a hand. Or maybe another foot. I'm guessing you're going the same way I am. I have to pick up a package for Betsy. The recycling center's right next door. Stick it all in Betsy's wagon. I'll give you a lift. It's gonna be easier pushing you downhill. Uh-oh! George, are you okay? The wheel! I'll get it! Boy, rolled a long way. I bet you could get it to roll from here to the other end of the park if you wanted. Might even set some sort of wheel rolling record. Say, what do you think? For the record? It's really going. It's gone. Hurry, after it! You go that way. I got it. Where could it be? Oh my gosh! The package place will be closing soon. Come on, we'll find the wheel later. Kick! This isn't so bad, as long as we keep the weight. Kick! Over the back wheels and you keep kick! Kicking the other wheel back in, we'll be there in... Hey, we're here! With time to spare. Our problems are over. Oh, this is gonna be a problem. Good idea, George. Let's take your stuff to the recycling center. Then we'll have room in the wagon. Hey, what are you doing, George? That won't work.
All winter, George loved playing with Chef Biscotti's mobile. But when winter was over...
It's spring now, Giorgio. Time to take this down.
Springtime seemed like a bad excuse to get rid of something fun. So why not make a new spring mobile? What's more spring-like than fresh fruit? George thought his mobile had everything a mobile needs. Had he forgotten something?
Balance. That's what you need. Like this.
Oh, wow!
Great! That was something. For our next demonstration of perfect balance, we need a volunteer from the audience.
Huh? Save it for the show, Claire. She means we can fix that.
George wondered, who were these incredible fruit balancers?
Zucchinis!
Biscotti!
Giorgio, these are my friends, the famous zucchinis.
We came by to order food for our rehearsal. Our show is tonight.
Molto bene. I'm gonna deliver it myself.
Thanks! Ciao!
When he woke up that morning, George had never heard of them. But now, all he wanted was to be an amazing balancing zucchini. Being a cat, Gnocchi didn't see what was so tough about balancing. But George needed to see how the zucchinis did it.
You want to deliver this to the zucchinis for me? Aha! Maybe you like to see them again, because you want to be a zucchini, eh? Oh, I know. Because, Giorgio, I too dreamed that I could be an amazing zucchini. Follow your dream, Giorgio. But hurry up before the pizza gets cold.
Steve, come on! Work with me here!
Aw, give it up, Betsy. You're too small to move a big brother like me.
Hi, George!
Hey, what do you got there? Smells good. Hey, what happened?
You moved closer, and now it's like we weigh the same. Thanks, George. Ah, food! Sustenance! That which gives us the strength to perform our amazing feats! I think he wants to join us.
It was one of those country mornings when George would have slept late if a strange sound didn't wake him up. On a windy day, the country house windows were almost musical. As good as the wind sounded, it felt even better. Smelled good, too. There had to be lots of things a clever monkey could fly out his window, like heavy winter socks. Birds he drew. His lucky brick. And there was even better stuff downstairs.
What's the excitement, George? Yeah, it's a great day to play in the wind. I'll get the door for you. George, if you're wondering how a big yellow hat would fly, you know the rule, buddy. No one is allowed to play with the yellow hat. Have fun. Clean up after yourself. And don't blow away.
George couldn't decide what he'd fly first. And then he didn't have to. Jumpy Squirrel tries hard to spend all his time in trees, leaping about. But when it's time to eat, he has to go where the nuts are buried.
Hey, George! Perfect kite flying weather, huh? Oh, careful. I'll lose control. Flying a kite's all about control. Oh, this is a lazy Susan.
He didn't know what a kite was when he woke up that morning. But there was nothing in the world George wanted more than to fly a kite.
Sorry, I can't turn over control to an inexperienced city kid. This isn't as easy as I make it look. I studied the Beaufort wind scale for 3 years. I never make mistakes. Rats! That's never coming down. Ooh, for a city kid, you sure can climb a tree. Not a scratch. Thanks, George. As a reward, I'll let you fly her.